Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vish After Dark. Today's topic, we're going to look at Vish Front Desk. So we're going to be answering some questions that were submitted from Vish users, but also we're going to ask some direct questions on how Vish operates with Allyson King and her two salons in Brooklyn, New York. I'm really excited to have Allyson King on the call today. My name is Tim Howard. I am the CIO of Vish, one of the original founders. My background includes being a hairdresser, salon owner, and an educator for a product company. And now my day-to-day operations with Vish is working directly with the Vish team and customers, ensuring they get the full value of Vish, as well as helping salons overcome some onboarding hurdles and just wearing as many hats as needed. So I'm really excited to be here today. Vish Front Desk is a topic I'm excited about, because it is the area that will give long-term value of Vish and really help salons become as profitable as they can be. Again, I'm joined today by Allyson King, and I'd love for you to introduce yourself, Allyson, and give a little bit of background about yourself, your salon, and your experience in the industry.
So thank you so much for that, Tim. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Just to give you the 2-minute spiel on me, I've been in the industry since I graduated from high school. I went through Votech. I am a stylist. And I spent most of my life running some of the largest chains here in the United States, but really jumped off the corporate ladder and got into business for ourselves. And in 2015, opened up with my husband salons called Hair & Co. Brooklyn. Brooklyn's abbreviated BKLYN. And really had the opportunity to meet you and Josh prior to the pandemic, in that year prior to the pandemic, and really starting to think and look at our business differently. And we had the pleasure of not only learning about Vish and how it could create an opportunity for us, but really kind of ripping the Band-Aid off and going full throttle when we reopened June 20th of 2020 after the pandemic. And as I joke with Josh all the time, because I love being able to share what Vish has done for our two salons, but it is one of the software pieces that we use that I can actually tell you the impact on our business. And it's been such a great impact, and has really, being in New York City, coming out of one of the biggest areas affected from the pandemic, it has been a cornerstone of really our recovery and growing our profits ever since.
That's great. Thanks, Allyson. And that last point, can you touch on that a little bit more? Because I know what it is, but how is it that Vish kind of validates its value, its worth? Can you just go over that with me versus other pieces of software or other tools that you use in your salon?
Yeah, absolutely. Not only is it color bar management, right? And that's some of the biggest inventory and most expensive inventory we keep in the salon. So, not only does it help me keep track of it all, but through a simple thing called Reweigh, it's enabled me to eliminate a significant amount of waste in our salon. And that waste has reduced what we order, and we order weekly, by over $150 per week per location. And so we were able to, again, coming out of the pandemic, put that savings into growing our business and to advertising and things like that to really help strengthen our business, because we were able to save in that area. The other thing it's enabled us to do is, in the past, we always had additional bowl charges. And, we think we run a really good business, but the reality is, do I think every stylist charged for every additional bowl they were supposed to? Let's get real. They didn't. And so what it's been able to do is give me a very clean, methodical, fair method to be able to ensure that any additional charges that are supposed to go forward to the client using Vish Front Desk, our topic for today, really happens consistently. And so through that, and we happen to use the system for something called parts and labor, but through that Vish Front Desk, we're able to know, based on what our stylists weigh, exactly what should be charged to the client. And we can very easily enter that into our point of sale. And so, Vish Front Desk has supported us in these last 3 years by almost $40,000 per location per year.
Wow.
and what we've been able to make an additional revenue through parts and labor. Again, coming out of such an impacted area, we lost half of our volume in both locations coming out of the pandemic. So it was something very important to getting us strong fast and allowing us to not only stay in business, but stay profitable and continue to offer the great benefits and support and education that we do to our stylists.
That's great. That's a great answer. Thank you. That was really in depth. So before we get into that a little bit more, I think it's best that we describe and let everybody know what Vish Front Desk is. So the origins of Vish Front Desk come from very early stages of Vish when we had very few customers, and myself and the engineers were sitting down and we were just, going over our dashboards. So there's three components to Vish. We have the color bar app, which the hairdressers mix their hair color on. And we gather all the information, all the data from there. We then, at the time, sent it to just a dashboard. And what the dashboard is what Allyson's talking about, is detailed analytics about the performance for Salon through the hair color side of the business. But we found then that the salon owners weren't necessarily checking in on the dashboard as often as they should. So we created Vish Front Desk, which would let the front desk team know and the salon owners know what's happening in real time. So basically what it is, it's a widget. So it's designed to sit on your desktop over top of your POS. And we like to think of it now as a digital ticket or a digital traveler, so that the front desk team know what's happened, what's changed for that service. So let's say somebody came in for a partial highlight, but it upgraded to a full highlight, or maybe they did an add-on toner, or maybe like Allyson said, they added an extra bowl of color. We're ensuring that this is visible to the front desk so that the team doesn't have to volunteer this information, either verbally or writing it down and handing in a ticket. It's done automatically. Because we know hairdressers are not necessarily malicious when they forget to charge something, is they get busy, they get overrun, and are forgetful at times. So this ensures that the customers charge accurately and for all the services they did, which of course benefit the customer because they like consistent pricing, benefits Salon because they're not giving away services and giving away product, and benefit the hairdresser so that the hairdresser is making the money based on what they're doing, getting paid for the work that they do.
Absolutely.
So that's a sort of general view, but we'll dive into it a little bit more. So we have some questions that came out from our customers or just from questions that were submitted to us. So the next question, Allyson, if you wouldn't mind answering this, is who can access Vish Front Desk? Is it the owners? Is it receptionists? Is it customers? Is it everyone? Who has access to it?
Yeah, so what I love about what Vish does is it gives us the opportunity to set up different security levels. So we have the ability to kind of be flexible for who we want to see Vish Front Desk, right? Owners and receptionists have access. The colorists do not. However, in our salon, we have a salon email. So we put that widget using the salon email right on top of our salon software. So anyone checking out a guest has easy visibility to look at that widget quickly and add that to the ticket if needed. And so that works really well for us. And it allows, the stylist to feel comfortable that what they entered moved forward, but it also makes it quick and easy as a front desk professional for me to be able to add, adjust, change anything that I need to that came through on the front desk.
That's great. And I have seen salons that actually have the widget on a computer or at a computer at their color bar. And the reason why they would do that is because let's say I'm doing a color and I know I'm going to use more than what is intended for the service. The guest has thicker hair, longer hair, maybe isn't coming in as often as other guests. So for how we manage that is for some salons, and we'll talk about parts and labor, which Allyson's talking of. Actually, we'll just stick there. So parts and labor allows the salon to separate the service from the product being used. So for example, Allyson, in your salon, your team may do a balayage. And the balayage is set at a cost, and it's a cost for the service, plus whatever product is used. So in this example, with a hairdresser that's maybe given a quote at the beginning, they want to check and get a running total. You're able to go to Vish Front Desk and get an accurate update. Every time there's a change or a little bit of extra product is used, the price for that additional charge will be reflected on Vish Front Desk. And you can refresh that many times during a service to get a running updated total. So again, those of you who use Vish Front Desk, even though it says front desk, you can also put it on the color bar so that you get updated totals. And one of the a very common question that we get from our customers and from people inquiring about Vish is, does Vish Front Desk talk to the POS? So it doesn't talk directly to the POS. And what most people mean by that is, does it push the change right into your sales window of your Salon software? And it doesn't do that. And the reason is because in often cases, the front desk want to check it. They want to manually adjust the bill. But most reason is that the capability is not there between the two software companies just yet. We are working on this, and this is an eventual goal of ours, so that when possible, we will push it. But we think that having that update on there, because a lot of times the information that comes back from the hairdresser on Vish Front Desk is not necessarily what gets translated to the bill. So, for example, if some salons will put that extra product charge built right into the service, or others will have a column or an item called additional color or extra product. It gives the front desk team the ability to put it in the area that they want, so that it's for commission or non-commission, if it's visible to the guest on the receipt or not. It gives you that flexibility. So again, think of it as a digital traveler or a digital ticket. Is there anything else you want to add there, Allyson?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, I think the only thing I would add is, I think however you choose to use it, it keeps it simple for you, right? We want consistency every time. And what I love about what it does is it for salons that like to have systems and like to keep it easy, it keeps it very simple for us. And whether we choose to make it a service, I tend to use it as a custom fee so that I'm not paying service commission on it. But again, we have the flexibility to run our business how we want, and be able to really seamlessly use it. And that's what I appreciate. And I'll also just add the nice thing about it. If some of the salon owners might make, well, gosh, if my team has to enter it, there's still human error involved. But what I love is my fallback's the dashboard. The dashboard tells me how much should be rung through a month. If that doesn't match what I'm ringing through a month, then I can go do a dive and see what's going on. So I've got all the tools that I need to make this easy and have checks and balances, which is lovely.
That's great. Okay, next question is, somebody asked, how do I ensure the information on Vish Front Desk is accurate and also charged accurately? So that speaks to what you were just talking about. So a little bit of background there, and Allyson will elaborate. Actually, why don't you just answer that, Allyson, in terms of the setup process for us. So when you're first introduced to Vish and we go through your onboarding and we set up your back end, and then also how you spoke of parts and labor, if you maybe want to dive into those two areas.
Yeah. So what I love is when we got, you guys make it really easy. And what I think I'd say to anybody who's thinking about using Vish or Vish Front Desk is, the first thing I'd say is trust the process. You've got thousands of salons across more than one country that is using Vish. And over time, you've collected data that really tells you what it should look like, right? And it's data across that many salons. It goes across multiple manufacturers. And so just my recommendation is trust the process at first. What I love is you've got the data that you need from the manufacturers and what the costs are. We work together in setting up what that margin should look like. And again, I trust the process. You told me what it should be and I went, okay, right? And kind of let that happen. And then, it's just about getting the team motivated to go from there. And what's been really amazing to me is, even if you're like me, and again, I'm a hairdresser too, and it's just kind of like when our manufacturer says, these are the mixing instructions, and we're always like, is it really? Right. And we want to try something different. I had those same questions when I started, and Tim, you onboarded us and you were like, will you just give me 60 days and don't tweak it until we get done. Right. And you know how hard that is for me, because I've known you for a while now. Right. And I'm like, all right, well, let's just do it this way.
She doesn't follow the rules. Yeah.
But I did, and I did what, we did what you said, and it made a lot of sense. And, I got away from manufacturer standard mix. I got away from all my conceptions of what we thought we needed to do, because you know what? You're the expert. you guys have been doing the detail of this way longer than I've been doing the detail of this, right? And I was able to have some great lessons, I'll share a couple of them quickly. One of them is I learned I wasn't charging enough for fashion color, right? Because now I'm able to see what those services look like and really able to charge appropriately for it. The other thing I was able to do through parts and labor is, we now have a transparent pricing guarantee. And now the clients, and it was really interesting because I met with a lot of clients. If you've ever been to New York City, prior to the pandemic, our restaurant tables are like this far apart. And so you tend to meet your neighbors trying to get out of the table, get back into the table, that kind of stuff. And I really just spent some time asking customers, like, tell me what you'd think about this in charging for a service and charging for a product fee. And it was really interesting to me because most people didn't understand how we came up with our prices anyway, right? And most of them said, well, I never seem to be charged the same thing twice anyway. And I kind of went, gosh, that's weird. But then I kind of went, oh yeah, I get it. Because, one time they remember to charge the additional bowl, the other time they forget, or one time they charge for curling iron, the other time they forget, right? Again, no malicious intent. I don't think people mean to self-sabotage their income, right? But stuff happens. And, I think with today, whether you do some type of an additional bowl fee or allowance like you guys do, or you go to parts and labor, what I've found is clients are really enjoying the inclusion of parts and labor, right? They enjoy feeling like they're only being charged for what's used on them, right? Because if my hair's finer, I might be paying less than the additional bowl charge before. If my hair's super thick and I should have been charged for 2 bowls, but was only charged for 1, I'm paying what's appropriate for my service. And I really feel like where the world is today, that customization and the ability to have something unique just for that client really resonates with the consumer out there today. So it's been a great transition for us. And it's also helped increase our frequency because clients understand if they wait longer, we're going to use more product because there's more regrowth, right? And if they want to keep their costs down, they might want to consider coming more often because, if they go 4 months, 6 months for a balayage, our application is going to be very different than if they came in 3 months. And so in some ways, it's also helped to increase our frequency as well.
Yeah, and and that's great. That's a great answer and great insight there. One of the things that I'll add to that is oftentimes we increase the service pricing because our profitability is not where it should be. And 2 things about that: A, it doesn't always fix a problem because you may increase your price by $5 or $10, but you're still using way more color than you should, which is not covering the cost. And you're also paying commission on that service increase that you've just done, so you're not really seeing much back of that. And 2, who pays for that more frequently but your loyal customers? So your loyal customers are getting that increase to absorb the cost or to increase the cost so that you're more profitable, where the issue really is the people who are not charged enough for the services. So we end up overcharging our most frequent, most loyal customers and undercharging the infrequent ones. And by switching to a model like we're speaking of, it really takes care of that. And I think I should just clarify. So what Allison's speaking of is parts and labor, like I said, separating costs, but we also have a product allowance model as well. And one of the beautiful things about how we set up your Vish account or your Vish dashboard backend is that we understand your business first. So we'll customize it to what makes most sense to you, what is, I think the best fit for your business. And again, we don't make that decision, but we offer you choices, and we consult with you along the way, because not one size will fit all. So Allyson went to parts and labor. We have a lot of salons that the easiest or first step for them is because they've had an all-inclusive model, which is do the service and use whatever product you want, and we'll sometimes charge you for extra. That to depart to parts and labor may be too much, although it is the most profitable way to do it. We introduce product allowances. And because we have the data, which Allyson mentioned, and all these salons, we know what the starting point for a retouch application should be. We know how much should be used for a toner, and we'll put those amounts in the dashboard, and we'll put that product allowance there. So when anybody on your team exceeds these thresholds, we're ensuring that you're not paying for it, that amount is made visible to the front desk, to the front desk app, so the customer could be charged accurately for the amount of product that is being used. So again, Allyson has complete separate, but there is also a model where we'll include some product with the service.
And Tim, isn't that
Again, and
model what most people who use Vish use?
yes, and I think that's because the industry has been undercharging for color in the most cases for
Yep.
such a long time that it was a big cultural shift.
Yep.
And for them, like, to understand how to communicate that with their team and communicate with their guests, it may take a little while. And, onboarding with anything, is not a one shot, quick switch around of your business. Everything takes time. So we feel that there's quite a few steps to implementing Vish to get the full value. For some salons, it's just working with getting the team to use it. Let's reduce your waste. Then we'll introduce Vish Front Desk. Then when we get to an area, like we'll see, and we'll do these regular consultation meetings with our guests and data reviews with our customers, is that you're going to see a big range in product usage across your team. When that gets stabilized, when we got your waste taken care of, and we start to bring down the cost overall, then we can look at maybe introducing Vish Front Desk introducing parts and labor. When you get to an area where we've really eliminated all the excessiveness, then we can introduce parts and labor. But again, a one-on-one consultation is usually done or always done with anybody new to Vish, so we can figure out the culture of business and recommend what fits best. Allyson, so another question here is, can I send the Vish Front Desk receipt directly to my clients?
So while you can't necessarily from Vish Front Desk, what I love is depending on how you call it out when you enter it into your POS, you can absolutely include that on the receipt that you send to your client. So we happen to use Forest, but you can do this in any other software, right? And so we have a custom fee called product fee. And so when we ring that ticket up and email the receipt to our client, it goes directly to the client.
Right, that's great. And there's another, and I'm going to pull, so the last question I had, question number 8, was what's the difference between old Vish Front Desk and the new Front Desk update? So some salons will have visibility at the front desk. So if a guest questions the bill, you can simply show them the ticket as it came through in Vish, just by giving them access to the monitor. Some salons have a monitor that faces out to the customer. But in the new version of Vish Front Desk, we went a little bit further, because we had some requests from our customers, from hairdressers working day to day, and it comes to really in the beginning of Vish, is understanding the charges and being confident by when a charge comes through to know where that charge came from. So typically what a ticket would look like now would say balayage service, additional product, $2.36. And sometimes you get one when it's a toner and the charge is $15. Initially, we want to be able to, for salons just to trust us, and we know the numbers are right, because on the back end, we know how much your product costs, we know the size of containers, we know how much you're allowing with it. So some of the confusion comes from, well, I did the balayage service and I know I'm allowed to use 60 grams or 2 ounces of color with this service, but there's still a charge. Well, how we set it up for, let's say, a balayage, is we set it up on your baseline product. So what is a bleach that is the most cost effective for you to use in a salon that you currently are using? And we'll use that as a benchmark. But what happens is sometimes we use a more expensive bleach, or even more expensive, we use a high lift color to do that balayage. Well, now that product allowance doesn't fit because we base it on the lower cost product. Vish will figure out which product you're using or knows which product you're using, and we'll update it. All that to be said, what we've done now is we have an expanded view on that balayage service. So by pressing an arrow on Vish Front Desk, a drop down will appear, and we'll actually show you each ingredient that hairdresser used. So each color product, so which balayage they use. Maybe they use an additive with it, like a bond product. Maybe they used, a couple of different developers. We'll break them down on the Vish Front Desk ticket, outlining how much they used of each product, each ingredient, and how much each ingredient costs, so that there is complete transparency with the team and with the guest. And Allyson, I know, so on a day-to-day front of house operations, how has this worked for you? Moving from, I don't know what your process was before when you had just sort of a manual process or a voluntary information process. How did it work then for the front of the house team versus now?
You know, it really was an easier transition than I expected. Um, it took probably about 3 weeks to get our team feeling like the color bar was a well-oiled machine. And for us, then it just was lightning fire. Like once we kind of got used to it. Um, and what we tried to do up front is ask ourselves, what do we have to think of, right? And so we used a couple things. First off, Vish Front Desk was so easy. I mean, it's a widget right on the front of the desk. All you do is lift it up, see how much, put it back, put the amount into the system. Super easy, super seamless. So for us, it was just about getting the repetition in and making sure that we're aware, okay, we had how many color services today? How many did we remember to ring out? Okay, let's do better tomorrow, right? Until we got that repetition that now it's just what we do, and it was simple. And I love having the number in the dashboard because of what the for lack of a better word, the product fee should be for the day, because instead of having to look at every transaction, I could just compare the product fee on my financial report to the product fee in the dashboard. Did they match? Yay, we had a great day. Simple. Right. And so we just
Yeah,
did a little of that in the very beginning. And beyond that, it was super, I mean, it's seamless. You guys do all the work for us, which as a salon owner, I really appreciate. And so then for me, it just became, once we got the repetition, now when I work with my bookkeeper on my P&L, right, I just again compare what were my product fees in compared to my professional supplies order, and I've learned kind of what that ratio should be based on the markup we do, and it just lets me know we're intact, right? The other thing that we did, because you'd mentioned it earlier, is being, when you're quoting prices and you're wanting to know what you think it's going to cost, we were able to use Vish Front Desk. And at the beginning, we used you to kind of give us some baseline information, but now we've got our own data, right? Once we've been up and running for a while.
yeah,
And so we built, for lack of a better word, ranges that we quote, right? So if we're talking about a single process, and if I'm just making the numbers up for today, but if our single process is $100 and our product fee is anywhere from $2 and $8, we might quote, it would be 105 to 110, just because I like round numbers, right? Because again, if it's 102, a client's not going to be mad because they thought it
right.
might be 110, right? So we've been able to build those ranges based on the data that we have inside the dashboard.
That's great. So a lot of benefit. I mean, and that's the thing for clients, right? Is just to have that predictability and that transparency. Everybody's on a budget. Well, not everybody. I think less, depending on what region you're in. But for most people, those surprises are not great when it's time to pay. And I think historically, there's always been surprises at the front desk
Yep.
for customers. Okay, so somebody asked, I don't have Vish Front Desk, but I'm thinking about getting it. What are the benefits? What does the setup process look like? So we do still have a lot of salons in our network that are using Vish that haven't fully rolled out Vish Front Desk. And if anybody is interested, please reach out to us, support at Get Vish, or you can reach out to me directly, and I'd be happy to connect you with your rep so that we can get that rolled out. But it's an ongoing benefit to your salon to use it. In most cases, in almost every case, we're going to get your waste under control in about 6 to 12 months. So now that you're using less, what are some other areas that can have improvement? And by all means, it's your service pricing, so we can give you recommendations on that. And of course, reducing your inventory, only using what's needed. And then when you're using more than you should, or just what you're charging for the color should be captured, that is a benefit of Vish Front Desk. And I think what the process is really simple. All we have to do is download the widget. You download the widget on your Front Desk app, a little bit of communication with your Front Desk team and your staff to understand what to expect, what it's going to look like. But it really comes to the pushback side of things. And, we as hairdressers, we give change every day. We create change every day for our guests. But sometimes we're the most resistant to change within ourselves or in the processes of the salon. So there's often pushback, and there's often, oh, I didn't realize, why is this Mary Smith now, her bill changing? So Allyson, how did you deal with pushback in your salon, if there was much? And what's the perspective now that you've kind of been using Vish for so long that you're way beyond that barrier?
That's a great question. I think the one thing we tried to do up front is arm our team with information, right? We tried to think of all the questions that they were going to ask. We tried to think of any of the objections they were going to have. And Shannon and I and our managers just really worked through what would the answers be and what tools would they need, right? And the beauty of working with Vish is you had most of the tools we needed, right? We just had to, say, oh, do you have something, you gave us scripting for our clients, you gave us scripting for the team and how to talk about it, right? But what we were able to do up front is just really arm them with information so that when clients ask questions, they had really powerful answers, right? And they didn't feel like they didn't know what to say. Now, we come from the school that, whatever store I buy anything from, I'll use gas as an example, the gas station down the street from me doesn't tell me when they raise their prices on gas. So we don't necessarily tell our clients up front, but we deal with it if somebody has an objection, right? What we've found is, especially right now, clients are used to prices going up. And so we didn't have the objections that maybe we thought we would. And when we did have the objections, we anchored back on our transparent pricing guarantee. What we've heard from clients over the last 7 years we've been in business is sometimes they didn't know what we were charging or why. And what we wanted to do based on your feedback is make it super simple. Now there's a service price that's never going to change. And there's a product price that's going to be custom to what we use on you instead of some arbitrary free that we came up that we charge everyone. And clients seem to really resonate with that. And so we just spent some time role playing with our team so they were comfortable with the answers and felt really grounded in what the explanation would be. And then if there were any things that kind of came over, were over the top, then I would deal with that client directly. But I got to tell you, we probably only had 2 or 3 clients that were really a challenge.
Yeah.
Everybody else really seems to see the value in it and likes the customization of it, and feels like they now at least understand what they're paying for and why, which I think was an obstacle before.
And I think, and that's great. Thanks, Allyson. The pushback is typically from the teams, from the hairdressers, right? They're having to have that communication with the staff or with the customer, and then maybe not even want to raise prices, right? Don't think it's fair or not valuing their own work enough. And one of the areas that I think I like to remind salons is that if you're not using Vish and you're not using Vish Front Desk, when your costs go up, so every year your hair color costs go up. So let's say, the manufacturer raises the price by 3 or 5%. If you're not making those changes right away, then you're going to absorb that cost. The beauty of our system is that when that change comes out, either we know it because we have a great relationship with the manufacturers and they let us know when their prices are going up, or you let us know and we'll change those prices in the back end, ensuring that you're not absorbing that increase. And I see it all the time. Like I ask salons when we have these initial meetings, when was the last time you raised your prices? 2 years. Yeah. So how many times have your color prices increased in 2 years? And sometimes they say 2 or 3 times, and they've just taken less money. They've just made less money because it's such an upheaval to change your service menu, where all we do at Vish is change the price in the back end. Vish Front Desk reflects those. So the day the prices change, you'll see that markup change in Vish Front Desk.
And I think that's so important, Tim, because the reality of, and I'd ask any salon manager or salon owner who's watching this webinar to ask themselves, if you raise your prices by $5, right, what do you think you make in that at the end of the year, right? And then I'd ask you to get your accountant on the phone and ask what a $5 price increase really drops to the bottom line in profit for you. Because I'll guarantee you it's a huge difference from what you think you're making to what you're actually making. And by taking this strategy on, if my manufacturer increases prices by 25% or 10% or whatever it is, I just increase my prices in Vish by that same amount and now I'm even. And it's a simple phone call to your team. It's done like that. And I'm whole. And, after everything we've been through, we don't need one day that we're not whole, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
us who are not still standing. And for those that are, we need to keep doing the right things for our business and make sure we're on top of things so that we can continue to be strong for our business, consider to be strong for our team and for our families.
No, absolutely. And it goes back to what you said earlier as well about these arbitrary prices for our services, right? Like these $5 increases, to your point, what are they fixing? And
Yeah.
why, how did you come up with $5?
Yeah.
Right? Like that, and again, it's not, it's just that we're sort of following the example that's been set for us in the industry,
Yep.
which, we need to shake things up. We need to learn how to do our business differently so that we are healthy, profitable, and successful. Allyson, this has been great. I really appreciate it. And I think, Vish Front Desk is such an important piece of the Vish ecosystem. And I think that you've really done a great job outlining how beneficial it is to Salon. So if anybody here who is watching or listening, please reach out to us, support@getvish.com. If you're interested in rolling out Vish Front Desk, if you have any questions about Vish Front Desk. And then also we do have an update. So if you go to the help section of your dashboard, you'll be brought to our doc center where you're able to update Vish Front Desk. But you will be getting some communication from us as well, letting you know how to do this. Allyson, is there anything else you want to add before we close?
No, Tim, I'll just say it was an honor and a pleasure. And, I will say to the salon owners out there, if you've been thinking about it and you're not sure, I will tell you, and I know a lot of you out there may know me from some of the other things I get to play in, but it is one of the best decisions I've ever made. And I've played in this industry since I was 15 years old. I could tell you my stylists love it. I can tell you our clients get better results because of it. It is something that now my business is more profitable because of it as well. And again, that's kind of why I'm here today, I'm definitely an advocate. And if anybody watching this webinar has questions as well, they're welcome to reach out as well. I'm happy to share our story. You're welcome to come out to the salon. But it is something that actually makes a difference. And I'm very grateful. So Tim and Josh, thank you for the opportunity of supporting our business.
Well, thank you.
Because
Thanks,
it's a huge difference.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone, that's it from us. Look forward to our next Vish After Dark. Our next topic, we're always bringing on brilliant salon owners like Allyson to share their wisdom and insight. So stay tuned for the next one. I believe it's next month, maybe December. We may be taking a pause, but at least we'll see you in January. See you in 2023. Thanks, everyone.
See you later.
Bye.